Right, there it is. All right, so we want to factor. Okay, now, first off, notice that, here, I'll write it up here a little bigger. C squared minus 9c plus 18. Notice it's a little, well, let's try what we learned last time. Remember what we learned last time? Did you guys make it through that homework? What did we learn about factoring last time? We would look at them and we'd say, okay, what do they all three have in common? What do they have in common? What do all three of them have?
When the coefficient,
Nothing is the answer.
when the coefficient of the first term is 1,
Right.
you can do the...
Yeah, and we're going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's hold on first. Does everybody see, that is where we're going. We will go there in a second. But does everybody first see that the old stuff won't work on this one? We do need something new. Does everybody see that, right? Because remember what we did in the old, like if there was just like a C back there, then I could say, oh yeah, take out a C. They've all got one. C minus 9 plus 18, you know, or something like that. If they all had a C. Or if they all had some kind of number. Maybe if there was a 3 in the front. They go, oh yeah, 3 goes into all of them. Take out a 3. You know, that was the kind of stuff we did last time. Right? But now, these three, they have nothing in common. There's nothing that goes into all three of them. So we cannot do what we did last time. So cannot do the one big parenthesis since nothing is in common. Right? So what do we do instead of the one that's... what do we do instead of the one big parenthesis? Some of you probably already know. What do we do? 2 parentheses. No, the grouping was 4 terms. Yeah, good statement as well. Grouping is if we had 4 things. How we do first 2, last 2, that was for 4. We only have 3 terms here. 3 terms. What we do is we do the 2 parentheses. 2 parentheses. Have you seen this before? And there's something in the front, something at the back, something in the front, something at the back. That would multiply to go back and become those 3. We kind of think it backwards. We say, what would multiply, what 2 parentheses would FOIL out to go back to that c squared minus 9c plus 18? We kind of think FOIL backwards. In fact, I'm just going to write FOIL above it. I think that would be helpful to us because we're trying to think FOIL backwards. So what in the word FOIL, F, and notice I put O and I over the middle, 2 letters over the middle, F-O-I-L. What does F stand for in the word FOIL? First or front? Yeah, the front times the front. Or the first one in this parenthesis times the first one in that parenthesis. Right. So what times what is going to be C squared? So C and C. So the beginning's always easy. It always starts off. Whoops, just making a mess. It always starts off that way. Exactly. So yes, let's jump to the 18. What goes in the last spot in the L stands for last. Last times last to be 18. What times what's 18?
6 and 3.
Well, a couple things. 2 times 9, or 3 times 6, or 1 times 18. Actually, there's 3 options, huh? All multiply to be 18. How do we know which one we want?
-3, -6, because -3, -6
Yeah. Yeah, they got to also add. I like that you're pointing out add. And they've got to multiply to be the back number. And they've got to add or subtract, same thing, right? Positives, negatives. Add or subtract to be the middle number. So which of these 3 options can both multiply to be 18, they all multiply to be 18, and somehow add to be a 9? 3 and 6. They make 9 if you add them, huh? So we need 3 and 6, and yes, we do need them both negative. How do we know? Because they have to make negative 9c in the middle. They've got to add to be negative and yet multiply to be positive. And they do. Now, are you clear? You've got to be clear there on the multiply and adding rules. Remember, when you multiply, 2 negatives make a positive, don't they? So, right? So negative multiplied with negative. Negative times negative multiplies to be positive. But they add to be a bigger negative. Remember when it comes to adding and subtraction, it's just gains and losses like money or football. If you lose 3 yards, you lose 6 yards, you lost 9 yards. You lose $3, you lose $6, negative, you lost $9. That's right. That's our answer. We're done. Does that make sense how we came up with that? You can reverse the order, by the way. You could put the -6 here and the -3 there. It doesn't matter at all.
Do you show them
The diamond method?
Yeah.
I don't, but it's a great method. There's a zillion great methods. That's one of them.
It's just in
I don't think it's the easiest way, but feel free to do that for yourself. I'm not going to show it publicly. But yeah, if anybody knows that and you want to help with that, I'll be glad to help you do that. Yeah. Does that make sense, what we did there? Is that good? Let's try another one. So, okay. So there we go. I'm going to just make that X. I don't like R and T and all that weird stuff. Let's make it X. Okay. So there's our deal. What's in common to all the terms? Do they all have an X?
No.
No. Do they all? Is there like some number that goes in all of them?
Yes. What?
Well, yeah, other than one. That one goes in there. Yeah, no. So we skip the one big parenthesis step. In a bit, we're going to have to do that again. But for now, just go right on to the two parentheses, right? So go right on to the two parentheses. And think about FOIL, F-O-I-L, right? Front times front, right? You got front times front to make front. What times what makes X squared? Yeah, that's just X and X. That's always an easy start. But then last times last, jump to the last first. Don't do the middle. Jump to the last before you do the middle. So ask yourself, okay, remember this is multiply. The one in the middle is add, isn't it? Really important that you remember that. The one at the end is multiply. Use your calculator. The one in the middle is add. So what numbers, use your calculator if you're rusty on some of them. What multiplies to be 70? Yeah. If you're not sure, just take 70 and divide by things. And what you get are things that multiply to be 70, right? Because dividing. So like 70, what multiplies to be 70?
10.
Yeah. 7 and 10. Yeah, I don't worry about signs until I get to the middle. So if you can do it all at once, great. I'm going to take it kind of slow. So 7 and 10. There's probably other things. I don't know what they are. 2 times 35. No way. So it's going to be 7 and 10, huh? So 7 and 10, either order. You can put the 10 first, then the 7. Doesn't matter. Now, how do I know what signs I need? They got to make negative 17. So think about money or football. What do you got to do with $7 and $10 to lose negative $17? You got to lose and lose, right? Lose and lose, right? If you lose $7 and you lose $10, you lost 17 in the middle, and those two negatives do multiply to be positive 70 at the back. So it's right. That's the answer. Again, you could swap the order. That's fine on that. Yeah?
So we have to find the factors of RL, the last
Yes.
number, but we have to have it at the middle?
Correct. Well said. Even use the math lingo, the factors. You're right. That's exactly it. Good? We good on that? Does that make sense? Whatever multiplies to be the back number, the last number, and adds to be the middle. That's what we're looking for. Good. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to make x's again. X squared plus x plus 12. All right. Try that one. Put your two. What number's in the middle?
1.
Just really a 1, huh? Yeah, exactly. Just really a 1 in the middle. Try that. All right, so we're thinking FOIL. 2 parentheses. X is in the front again, pretty much every time, you know. And then do the last times last, multiply. The middle is add. So last times last, multiply to be 12. Hey, this isn't going to work, is it? Yeah, because all you could have is 3 and 4, or 2 and 6, or 1 and 12. Right, so yeah, so first I'll write down the numbers, then we'll try out the signs. So those are the numbers that multiply to be 12, right? 3, 4, 2, 6, and 1, 12. Now, which of those can somehow add to be plus 1?
It's not factorable.
Yeah, this one's going to be not factorable. But let's make sure we're all on the same page. How do we know it is? Well, the only way you're going to get plus 1 in the middle is if you have plus 4 and minus 3. That's the only way to get plus 1. Right? You with me? 6 and 2 can't make 1. 6 minus 2 is 4. 12 and 1 can't make 1. 12 minus 1 is 1. No, it's not. It's 11. It's not 1. Right? The only way to get 1 is 4 take away 3 to get the middle term of 1, right? But that doesn't make it positive 12. Those multiply to be negative 12. So that doesn't work. Remember, you got to keep the multiplying rules separate from the adding subtracting rules, right? Positive times negative times positive would multiply to be negative 12, and that's wrong. So the only way we can make the middle work ruins the back. It's not doable. It's not factorable. This one cannot be done. So we just cross it off. We say not.
Isn't there a trick that when it's a positive and positive, pretty much always be a non-factor?
No, it's just all positive or nothing is what it is. So it had to be all positive numbers, and there's no way to make that work. So not factor, but it can work sometimes. All right, let's try that one. So you got b squared minus 2b minus 63. We're thinking about FOIL again, the 2 parentheses. So try that. Front times front to make front, last times last to make last. I told you guys last time about the $20 for taking the test, right?
What?
No?
What?
Oh, okay. So I guess yeah. So they're calibrating a new test over in the assessment center for the whole state. We're one of the testing sites. They're coming out with a new math placement test and English placement test that all the junior colleges, all 105 or 10 of them or whatever, in the whole state are going to use the same one. We're one of the testing centers, so they're paying people to go over there and take the test. The English test, $20 they'll give you. The math test, $20 they'll give you. So, where's my pen? I'll write it on the
You
board.
have to pass it to the
Yeah, the better you do, the more. No, I'm kidding. No, they don't care.
Take it?
No, just go over there and take it. Take it for money. The assessment center, they're open Monday, Thursday, 1 to 7, Friday, 11:30 to 5. It's $20 for the math test, $20, but it's state money, so they'll pay you like 2 months later probably, or so. You know how the state is. They'll take down your information. You get it. Got to what's that?
Do you have to open the test?
I think that would be wise. Yes. So you can do that if you want to. Yeah.
If we pass it, will it go towards like if we get?
Yeah, if you do well, it's the placement test. Yeah, you could skip the next math class. But, all right, so we good with this one? Front times front to be front. So that's B and B, right? So far, so good. And now, last times last to be 60. Don't worry about the negative. Remember, I don't do the signs until I get to the middle. That'll be easier for you.
6 and 7, or 9 and 7.
Yeah, so if you're a little rusty on some of those times tables, just take that 63 out and divide. Yeah, and you'll find, if you're looking at 63 thinking, I don't have any idea, I don't remember, just try to divide by 7, you'll get 9. Then you go, oh yeah, 7 and 9. And then you can get some other things too, but 7 and 9 are actually what we want. Either order, doesn't matter. Okay, now, how do we know? So notice I don't have any signs yet, right? You with me? Just 7 and 9, no signs. Now, how do you know what signs to? Okay, make sure you hear this. If I've been doing the Charlie Brown 111, dial in for a second. Make sure you hear this. The sign in the middle always goes on the bigger of the two items. Things are going to get much harder in an hour when we're in the hard trade. These are the easy ones. They're going to get a lot messier. And so you're going to want to know this rule when there's like mess everywhere. This will help. These are pretty simple. It's not a big deal. You're going to get messy in a bit. Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. So who's bigger, 7 or 9? 9's bigger. Sign in the middle is negative, goes to him. So the other one's positive. That makes sense? The sign in the middle is always taken by the bigger on that. So is that work? Is that true? Plus 7. My football team gains 7 yards and then loses 9. Where are they? They're back 2. Yeah, that's working. Or if you gain $7 and lose 9, you're in -2 zone. Right? You're in debt. Right? And they do multiply to be -63, don't they? Positive times negative is negative. So they multiply and they add correctly. So that's our pay. And you can switch order. If you have the B minus 9 coming first and the B plus 7, that's okay also. Right? The order doesn't matter, but the signs do. The negative has to be on the 9 wherever he is, and the positive on the 7, wherever he is. Make sense?
Yeah.
Is that good? Questions I can answer? Okay. So let's keep going. Where am I? Wait, what am I doing? I'm in the total. All right. So there we go. All right. So I'm going to make those x's x cubed minus 4x squared minus 45x. All right. Now, before you dive into the 2 parentheses, notice there's something in common to all 3 terms, huh?
Yo, X's.
X or R, yeah, I'm using a different letter. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to do that first. First, do the one big parenthesis. So first you take out the X, or the R is what I probably should have done. I'm doing X, right? Because they all have one this time. Does everybody see how this one's different than the last few we've done? They all have something in common. So you've got to do the one big parenthesis, and you see how it lowered the power by 1 on everybody? Because if I took that X and multiplied it, it would go back to way it started, huh? I'm thinking about multiply backwards. That's what factoring is, right? So far, so good. That's like what we did last time, huh? That's what the quiz was today, huh? Oh, I never even did the quiz, did I?
Yeah.
Well, 88% of you got it. If you want to see it, grab me after class. So anyway, now leave that X in the front and do the 2 parentheses on what remains. So this has both. This has both what we did last time, where we do the one big parenthesis, take out what's in common, and then the 2 parentheses to finish up. It's both. So can you finish up, right? You're looking for FOIL, right? FOIL, what? Multiplies to be that guy right there. Multiplies. And adds to be that guy. So X is in the front, huh? Is that good so far? You getting that? So what times what is 45? Take out your calculator. If you're rusty, take 45 and just try dividing by things.
9 and 5.
Yeah, you get 9 and 5. Remember in that one, or you can't find it on the calculator? 9 times 5. Either order. Remember that the order doesn't matter, but the signs do. So you can go 9, 5, or 5, 9, whatever.
But 9 gets
Yeah, now how do we do the signs? That's why I'm saying let the middle tell you about signs. Notice I don't even worry about signs until I'm ready to go with the middle. Let the middle tell you the sign. The sign in the middle goes on the bigger, huh? So it'll go right there. And the other one
positive.
must be positive, and that's the correct answer. How do we know that's right? Well, if you lose $9 and you gain $5, you lost 4, huh? And negative times positive is negative. They multiply to be negative 45. It's correct. You could swap the order, but the 9 has to be negative wherever he is, and the 5 positive. The whole thing is our answer, including the X in the front. The whole thing is our answer. If you multiply, if you FOIL that out and then distributed the X, it would go all the way back to here. It is the breaking down of all that stuff. Is that good? Does that make sense? Be able to do that next Wednesday?
Why did we do the first big parenthesis?
What'd you say?
Why did we do the big parenthesis?
Yeah, the reason I did this time and I didn't do the other time is a good question, because they all had an X. Yeah, if you look back, let's look at this last one. See how on this one they didn't all have a B? That 63 didn't have a B? If he did, I would go, oh, they all got a B in common. Take it out. Yeah, so it's only when they all 3 have something the same, something in common, that you do the one big parenthesis step first, and then the 2. Good question. It's only when they have something in common. So we look for that first. All right, so try that one. So I'm going to make it X again. X cubed minus 2x squared minus 63x. Try that one. So first, what's the first thing you ask yourself? On every factoring problem, it's a factor. Do they have something in common? Right? Do they all have something in common?
Yeah.
So you do the one big parenthesis, right? All right, so put the x in the front, one big parenthesis, right? Because they all have one. Well, how do you know what goes on the inside? Whatever works. X times what would go back to x cubed? Well, x squared, because powers add. X times minus 2x would go back. X times minus 63 would go back. Good so far? Everybody see how we do that? When they have something in common, you do the one big parenthesis. Okay, now do the two parentheses. Right? Leave the x in the front. Two parentheses. We're thinking about FOIL. Front times front. Last times last to be 63. What times what is 63?
9 and 7.
7 and 9, 9 and 7, either order, doesn't matter. And sign in the middle. Negative goes on the bigger. The other one's plus, right? If you lose $9 and you gain $7, you lost $2, didn't you? And they multiply. Negative times positive makes negative. They multiply to be negative. They add to be the middle. It's all working out. Good there? It's making sense? Questions? All right. Just by switching them around, but we'll just reorder it. So they're going, okay, minus 2v minus 48 plus v squared. Yeah, just grab this guy and put him in the front. V squared minus 2v minus... Yeah, we always want it from highest power to lowest. So if they give it to you in a mixed up order, just reorder from highest power to lowest. And remember, whenever you move things around, take the sign that's in front of them with them. See how there's still a plus sign in front of that v squared, really? Nothing, which is plus. Right? Whenever you move terms around, take the sign in front of them, plus or minus, with them when you move them. And now it's just regular. I'll just do it from here like regular. Is there something in common? Do they all have a number or a letter in common?
No.
No. So just go right to the two parentheses, right? No messing around with the one big parenthesis because there's nothing in common. So just go right to the two, FOIL, multiply, add, that whole thing. So V's in the front. So we're thinking FOIL. So what multiplies? What times what's 48? Use your calculator.
6 and 8.
6 and 8 is good. How's it gonna add to be the middle negative 2?
Positive 6 and negative.
Yeah, sign in the middle goes on the bigger, huh? Minus 6 plus 8. Either order, you can swap the order, but the negative's got to be on the 8, the bigger, because the sign in the middle goes on the bigger. So there it is. Those, if you lose $8 and gain $6, you lost $2, and they multiply to be negative 48. This is seeming not too bad. Okay, so v to the fourth plus 3v squared minus 40. Okay. So, all right, so same thing, except the powers are a little higher, but you can figure it out. Do they all have some? First question, though, always, is there something in common to all three? Do they all three have the same letter? Do they all have like a number? No. So skip the one parenthesis, nothing in common. Go right to the two parentheses. Right to the two. I'm thinking FOIL. So front times front. What times what is v to the fourth power? Remember powers add? Yeah, v2, v2, v squared, v squared, huh? Does that make sense? Because the powers have to add to be 4, right? So v2, v2. The rest is the same. That's the only new part. So find two numbers that multiply to be 40 at the back, right? Back here, what multiplies? What times what is 40? There's a couple options. Could be 4 times 10. Could be 5 times 8. Could be 2 times 20. But what pair is it going to be? Yeah, 8 and 5s are a pair, because that can make the 3 in the middle, huh?
Yeah.
See how that works? So just use your calculator. Find those combos you need. 5 and 8. Either order, you put 8 and 5, 5, 8, whatever. But the signs you got to be careful, huh? Sign in the middle goes on the
A bigger number.
bigger. Bigger's 8, right? Sign in the middle has to go on the bigger. And then this one's negative. If you gain $8 and lose 5, you gained 3, huh? Right? It always has to add to be the middle. And they multiply to be negative 40 because positive times negative is negative. Good like that? Again, you can always switch the order. You could have the plus 8 come in first and the minus 5. That's the same answer. As long as the 5's negative and the 8's positive, the order doesn't matter. And Math Excel knows it. It'll take it either way. Is that good? I was working with my daughter yesterday on a bunch of math for the math class she's taking. They had a bunch of, it was a computerized thing, and it's not nearly as nice as this system. You don't type it in just like they want it. It goes, and just wastes your life. It's not user-friendly at all. I know you maybe think this isn't, but this is actually the Cadillac. This is the nicest one that I've ever seen, this program. It's pretty user-friendly. A lot of them are real picky, even if you have the right answer. If you don't say it like they want it, it just goes, and that's frustrating. Anyway, so this will take it either way. Math Excel knows both are correct. Okay, so try that one. Read that. 11 plus, no, minus, no. Minus 3w plus w squared. All right, try that one. So what do you got to do first on this one?
Write it.
Yeah. It's got to be from highest power to lowest.
What's wrong?
Yeah. Because the negative is with the 3w.
So reorganize. Now remember, when you move things around, you take the sign in front of them. So these guys got to switch, don't they? So w squared minus 3w plus 11. Is that good? Like that? Good. Okay. Oh, that one's not going to work, is it?
No factor. See?
No, there's no way to multiply to be 11, huh? Like when you go to the parentheses, you go w. It's only 1 times 11. It's the only thing that multiplies to be 11, and that's not going to make 3, huh? So this is not factorable. I didn't realize it at first. It's not factorable. We good with that? See how we know that? Only thing that multiplies to be 11 is 1 times 11. That's not going to make 3 in the middle. All right. Lines. It can be a little confusing. So let's try this one. So we have 70 minus 3c minus c squared. What's the first thing we need to do? Yeah, rearrange it. Put it in the right order. So go ahead. Now remember, this one's more tricky. When you rearrange them, take the sign in front of them. Whatever sign's in front, take it with them. So this sign here. But the negative is in front. What's in front of the 70?
Positive.
Nothing, which means positive, huh? So when you switch those guys, it'll become minus c squared minus 3c plus 70. Is everybody good to there so far? Now, when there's negative in the front, do a minus 1 big parenthesis, change all signs. Kind of being scribbly there. So, is everybody catching this? A special thing we have to do when the front term is negative. Minus c squared there in the front. That minus c. When the front term is negative, we have to take out a minus 1, and that's going to change all the signs on the inside. So it'll become a regular c squared plus 3c minus. So see how they all change? Minus c squared became regular c squared. Minus 3c plus 3c. Plus 70 became minus 70. See how all the signs in the front changed? We're not done yet, even. Then we got to do the double parenthesis step. Was everybody good to there? Everybody seeing what happened? Now, why? I don't want to just give you, Mr. Heron says so or the math book says so, because it just won't stick with you, I don't think, very well. Why? What's the reason for that? I think a lot of you probably see it. Why do all the signs change when I put the -1 in the front? Yeah, because it works. It's the final reason for any of these things we're doing in factoring is it works. If you were to multiply that, you're right, if you were to multiply that -1 through, it would go back, wouldn't it? Right? -1 times c squared would go back to -c squared, wouldn't it? Minus times plus 3c would be minus 3c, and minus times -7 would be back to plus 70. It's just right, huh? Does that make sense? So when you factor a -1 out front, you must change all the signs so that it's right. If you were to multiply it, it would go back. Right? We're just making new versions of the same thing, really, aren't we? It's got to still be the same, really. Now, we're not done. Now you have to do I'm kind of running out of room, so I'm going to go to a new screen here. But we got to do the 2 parentheses thing now. So what was it we had? So -1 c squared plus 3c minus 70. So we're to there. Now that -1 just stays in the front, just like when we put an x in the front or anything else, it has to be part of the final answer. And then you know what to do from here, right? Do the FOIL thing. FOIL. So what times, C, front times front to be front. Last times last to multiply to be 70, 7 and 10. Sign in the middle.
Bigger number.
On the bigger, on the 10. Good, and this is minus. If you gain $10 and lose 7, you gain 3. They multiply to be -70. So there we go. But that -1 is part of the answer, though. That -1 in the front is part of the answer. Is that good? Does that make sense? Math Excel will take that answer. But if you get it wrong 3 times, it'll show you an answer that will look very different to you, and you'll be tempted to think that you have to do it a whole different way. You don't. It will take it that way, but it's got to be exactly that way. You got to have the -1, c minus 7, c plus 7. In fact, let's just go back and keep forgetting. They have fixed it. All right, try that one. Question what? 15 minus 8 squared minus 2. All right, so try that one. It's going to be just like the last one. It's worth our time, though. These are kind of hard. A lot of messing around. So try that one. Give you a second. What do we do first?
Reverse.
Rewrite it, right? Reorder it.
Keep writing it.
Do that first. Reorder it.
Minus do the order one. This one is first, but it doesn't matter. Avoid this. Doesn't matter.
Is that 29 or 2A?
2A.
Okay.
I'm so offended. I have the neatest handwriting in the world, don't you think? No? I'm totally kidding. My writing is totally sloppy. I'm just joking with you. All right, so whoops. Now I'm really making it bad. Take that 15 and put it at the back. Whoops. I'm trying to write my finger. For some reason my pencil thing's not working today. Minus a squared minus 2a plus 15. Good for first step? Well, remember what we're supposed to do with that minus.
Because it goes from
Put a -1 in the front and reverse all the signs.
to the cube. To the square. It's the 8.
Good to there? Everybody good to there? And now, wait, am I going too quick? You guys with me? You guys catch what I did the last problem, right? So you have to rearrange it first off.
Oh.
And when there's a minus in the front, you have to take out that minus. You have to get that minus off of the front And that reverses all the signs. Reverses all the signs. And now, the two parentheses. A and A. What multiplies to be 15? 5 and 3. 3 and 5, whatever. Sign in the middle? On the bigger. Plus 5 minus 3. We got it. Does that make sense? So you can't forget this step. You don't try to go right from here to the double parenthesis. It'll mess you up on the signs because the signs switch. When you do that minus 1 in the front, you've got to see those new signs before you do the double parentheses. Everybody tracking with me? Is this making sense? That's the mistake I see on this problem a lot of times, is people will try to go right from here, and they'll just put the minus out there and just try to do the whole thing. No, you've got to do the one big parenthesis because all the signs are going to switch, then do the two. Right? And there's our answer. Questions on that one? Yeah?
How do you know if you have to pull off the negative one or not?
On the front. So when the minus is on, so after you rearrange them, if there's a minus, yeah, we don't care about minuses anywhere else. Good question. It's just minus on the front. Did I write that in the last one? Oh, I didn't write anything. Yeah. It's just when minuses are on the front. Yeah. On the front. Good question. So everybody good with that? So we never want negatives in the front. If you got a negative in the front, you got to factor out a minus 1. Yeah.
So if we're taking out the negative one in that second step,
Uh-huh.
that's when we're going to have to switch their
Signs.
sign.
Yep, all the signs switch in here when you put the minus 1 in the front. Exactly. So everybody good with that? So when there's a negative on the front term, you do the step with the negative 1 in the front and all the signs switch. Then finish off the two parentheses. I think. All right, so try that one. So 40 minus 3c minus c squared. So this is, again, I'm picking the hardest one, so this will be a challenging one. So it's all messed up in the order. Just got to reorder it first off. So first reorder. Good to there? But see, we have a minus in the front, huh? Everybody good to there? So I reorder, and then minus in the front. I went ahead and wrote it out this time. Minus in the front means factor out a negative 1 and change all the signs inside the one big parenthesis. See how all the signs changed? See, the minus c squared became positive, the minus 3c became positive, the plus 40 became negative 40. Is that good? So that's what you do when you have a minus 1. Now we have one more step, don't we? One more step. So go ahead and finish in there. Now do the two parentheses from there. And leave that minus 1 in the front. That's important. Minus 1 in the front really matters. So we have the minus 1 in the front. And what do we have? I forgot already. C squared plus 3c minus 4d. So we to there? So we all good to there? So reorder. Got a minus in the front. Factor out the minus 1. One big parenthesis. Change all the signs. Like that. And then finish the 2 parentheses from there. C's in the front. What multiplies to be 40? What times what is 40?
And a 5.
Yeah, it's going to be 8 and 5 instead of 4 and 10, huh? Because you got to make the middle. You got to add to be plus 3. Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Plus 8 minus 5. If you gain $8 and lose 5, you gain $3. There we go. Is that good? And the minus 1 in the front is part of the final answer. Questions on that one? Good. We happy? So we need to go. Okay. So w squared plus 4wd minus 21d squared. All right. Here they got a couple letters. It's the same game, though. It's hardly anything different. First off, let me ask this, guys. Is there something in common to all the terms?
No.
Yes.
What do they all have? Do they all have a W?
No.
No, the back one doesn't have a W. Do they all have a D? No, the front one doesn't have a D. Is there like a number that goes into all of them? No, the front one doesn't have any numbers at all. No. There is nothing they all commonly have. So there's no one big parenthesis step. That's my point. I'm going to go right to the 2. Everybody with me on that? If there's something they all have, we got to do the one big parenthesis step before we do the 2. Huh. But there's not. All right, here we go. You remember the FOIL thing, right? FOIL. So front times front to make W squared. WW. Front times front to make W squared. And last times last to make 21d squared. What's going to do that? What times what's 21d squared? It's going to be 3d and 7d. Or the other order. Switch the order.
Do you rearrange that?
What's that?
Do you rearrange that because
Oh, yeah, good question. Because you might think, well, that's d squared. Shouldn't that be in the front or something? Right? Yeah, Car's question's a good one. Everybody hear that? Let me address that. She said, don't we need to rearrange? Because didn't you say higher powers go in the front, Miss Farron? And d squared, that's a high power. Shouldn't that be in the front? Well, when there's 2 letters, there's no way they can both be in the front, and they're both squared. So what you do is you just arrange it based on one letter, and you just ignore the other one. So W squared is already in the front, followed by W, followed by no W at all. So it's in order highest W to lowest W, isn't it? So that's good enough. So we don't even, when there's 2 letters, you just got to pick one and do it just that letter. Good question.
so if I chose to, I could swap it.
You could put the D stuff in the front.
Okay.
Yep, and you could go highest D, lowest D, middle D, or yeah.
But one
highest.
makes it complicated.
Yeah, well, it's already good, so we'll leave it. Yeah, so does everybody see? Now, front times front is making front. Last times last is making last. Except for the sign. We'll do the sign in a minute. Good to there? Oh, or another way I can help you see it. See how when there's W squared in the front, there's going to be W's in the front of each parenthesis? And when there's D squared at the back, there's going to be D's in the back of each parenthesis? It's just like that, right? Does that make sense? As far as the letters go, if you got something in the front, they go in the front. You got W squared in the front, W's in the front. D squared in the back, D's in the back. And then just do the numbers. 3 times 7 makes 21. How do you make plus 4? Sign in the middle. Sign in the middle. Goes in the bigger. Sign in the middle is plus. Plus in the 7, which is bigger. Minus 3. Plus 7 minus 3 is plus 4. It adds to be plus 4. They multiply to be negative 21 because positive times negative is negative. Good? Pretty much going to leave this section behind, I think. No questions? We good with that? All right. So okay, there we go. So what's the first step on this one? It's a the last problem in the section. We'll go to the hard ones. What's the first step?
Check their.
Yeah, what do they have in common? They have some stuff in common, huh? Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. Did you notice the 6 goes in all those? And the what power? How do you know what power? So you're gonna you're gonna do the one big parenthesis. You're gonna put 6m to the what? What power? Yeah, the lowest one. Huh. Remember how we always that's the most they have in common, it's the lowest one? Good. Everybody see that? 6 into the 7. 6 goes in all of them and into the 7 goes in all of them. So put that in the front. How do you know what goes on the inside? How are you going to find out what goes on the inside? Whatever works. Right? Whatever works. Just ask yourself, 6m to the 7th times what? We'll go back to that. Remember, out front numbers multiply, powers add. So I need m to the 2. 7 plus 2 will go back to 9, huh? Good. And then 6m to the 7 times what? And times what to go back and back. Let you figure those out. And then you got one more step after that. You got to do the 2 parentheses. Give you a second on that. All right, so be what? Minus 5m, huh? Because the m to the 1 and the m to the 7 had to be m to 8. Good. And then minus, what, just 6? Good to there? So far, so good? Now, let's do the 2 parentheses. M's in the front, because now we have to do the whole, what multiplies, what adds. What times what is 6? 2 and 3? Yeah, 2 and 3. How can they make negative 5? Sign in the middle? Goes on the bigger. It actually goes on both. It does go on the bigger, though. That's always true. Sign in the middle will always go on the bigger. Sometimes it'll also go on the smaller. It goes on both this time, right? If you lose $2 and lose $3, you lost $5, huh? Uh-oh. Is that right? Yeah, what's wrong?
It don't multiply to be negative 6.
Yeah, it doesn't. 2 negatives would multiply to be positive 6, not negative. Hold the phone. Something's wrong.
6 and 1.
Yeah. Does everybody see? Do you ever see this is not working, first off? It's close. It's very close. That could fool you on a multiple choice test next Wednesday. So let's make sure you're not fooled. Does everybody see that's not right? Why not? What's wrong with it? Right, the middle's good, right? You lose $2 and lose $3, you lost $5. The middle's good, but they do not multiply to be negative. 2 negatives don't multiply to be negative. They're positive, so that's not right. That's not right. So what's the other option other than 2 times 3? 1 and 6, yeah. Let's try it again. Sign in the middle, on the bigger, and then plus. Yeah, that's right. If you gain $1 and lose 6, you also lost 5. And positive times negative does multiply to be negative 6. Now it's right. It's a tricky one. All right, we good? That's the hardest of the easy ones. Ready to go to the hard ones? Are you excited to go to the hard ones? Challenging. All right, 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. All right, go ahead, give it a try. One of the best ways is to see that it's hard. What's in common to all the terms? Do they all have an x? Or a number now? So you got to use the reference. Just go right to the 2 parentheses. Right, 2 parentheses. 2x and x, right? Oh, is that good? Everybody see it's 2x and x?
Yeah.
For FOIL. Right? Front times front to make front. Now, last times last to make last. What times what is 7?
1 and 6.
Yeah, 1 and 7 is the only option, huh? 1 and 7. Now, do they add to be minus 13? So this one's just not factorable, right? No, this one's very much factorable. It's not so simple anymore. I want you to see. Everybody dialing in with me? Again, if I've been doing the 1-1-1, dial in. These are harder. These are much harder, this section. This one's factorable. You can't just look at 1 and 7 and go, well, they don't add to be 13. It's not that simple anymore. It's not that simple. Why not? Well, what makes these harder? It's the number in the front. When you have a number in the front, there's going to be more interactions than just a simple multiply add. It's more complex than that. Well, what is it? Well, it's the FOIL. Now, I know I've been writing FOIL, but we haven't really been required to do the whole FOIL. Now we will. What do I mean? Well, remember, they multiply last times last, multiplies to be 7, other than the sign. We'll fix the signs in a minute. That's all good. Now, think more carefully about the middle. What makes the middle? It is add, I'm sorry. It is add, that's true. But it's add what? Add what? O and I. Oi. Oi. What is that? What does the O and the I stand for in the word FOIL? Outer with outer. Inner with inner. We never had to worry about that before because they were easy and it didn't matter. This is where it's going to get complex. Outer with outer, inner with inner. So everybody see that? You've got it. The middle's much more complex now. You've got to do the whole oi, which means inner with inner. So what is 1 times x? 1x. No big deal there. 1x. So what? What is outer with outer? What is 2x times 7? 14x. Now those are the two numbers you're trying to get to make minus 13. That's the O and the I. How can a 1 and a 14 make minus 13, can they? Yeah. Sign in the middle goes on which one? What does he always do? Sign in the middle always goes on the bigger. So who's the bigger? 14. And this is plus. That'll make minus 13x, won't it? Do you see that? I'll show you how it goes up to the parentheses in a minute. Does everybody see that first off? We good with that? Nope, that's it. It's over. No, I'm just kidding. Is it good? Good question? I'm waiting.
So you did.
So what I did is I just put down 1 and 7 because they multiply to 7, other than the negative. We'll worry about that later. 1 times 7 makes 7, other than the sign. And then, to see if the middle was right, it's not so simple anymore. It's oi. You know, FOIL, it's the O and the I, which means inner, inner, outer, outer. 1 times x is 1x. 2x times 7, right there, multiply. 2x times 7 is 14x. And then, sign in the middle, sign on the bigger. 14 is bigger than 1. Sign in the middle is negative, sign on the 14 is negative. Because plus, if you gain $1 and lose $14, you lost 13. It's right. It's making the middle, isn't it? So the middle's not so simple anymore. The middle's not just adding the 1 and the 7. The middle's adding the oi now. The oi.
So the negative 14 came from because the negative sign in the middle was the biggest number, so that's how it makes
Yes,
14?
exactly. The sign in the middle always goes to the bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. So where do the signs go? Well, the one here just always goes straight up. The one in the back goes to the back. I mean, the one in the bottom goes to the back. So just let this guy float straight up. That'll happen every time. Plus 1 times x. And we're done. That's right. If you FOILed that out, it would go back correctly. Question?
But it would be like the middle goes back. The middle sign, whatever it is, 1 plus 1. Oh, we never.
Goes right there. That's in the back. This one goes right there. We good? Does that make sense? It's going to take a little practice. These are hard. That's why they're called harder. Trinomials. Why do we have to? How do you know when you have to do all this? What made us have to do all this harder stuff all of a sudden? The number in the front. Number in the front made more interactions. All right.
So the answer was.
The answer was 2x plus 1, x minus 7. That was the answer.
So the check is going to be in the middle.
Yeah, this is me checking it, verifying that the middle's making the middle. Exactly. Good comment. So that make the oi's making the middle. Right, good. Let's try another one. I think it's good just to see several of them. All right, so let's try this one. So 2, I was going to make it x. 2x squared plus 9x plus... How do you know this is going to be a harder one? Number in the front. 2. All right, do the 2 parentheses. And think about FOIL. It's all about FOIL, right? F. Oh, if you've been skipping it up to now, because they were pretty easy, you should probably write the word FOIL now. You need that O and the I over the middle. That's telling you what you need to do. Feel free to check with those around you. All right, so 2x times x. Front times front makes front. Good so far. And then last times last to make last. What times what's 9? 3 and 3, or 9 and 1. Probably 3 and 3. Good so far. Now, how do we know if that's right? How do we check? I've got the front making front. I've got the last making last, but how do we know if the middle is correct? Got to do the oi thing, right? So check the oi. Check the outer with outer and the inner with inner. Draw these arrows. Right? These are the 2 inner. These are the 2 outer. That's the oi thing.
6 plus 3?
Yeah, the 2 inner makes 3x. The 2 outer makes 6x, huh? Do they make the middle term of plus 9x? If so, what signs do they need? Both positive. Both positive. There it is. This is my answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I going too quick? Is that good? Questions I can answer? Okay.
Okay.
Question?
I'm just wondering if I'm doing the right thing. Like the inside, if it's positive, if it's like a positive 3x and a positive 6, that means you're going to add the 2 to come up with a 9, right?
Right.
Whereas in the question before, we had a positive 1 and a negative 6.
Yeah, the last one we had a +1 and a minus. So think about gains and losses. Remember, football or money. You gain 1 yard and lose 14, you lost 13.
Okay, got it.
Or money, same thing. Yeah, the middle's about money. All right, good. All right. Hey, what's in common to all the terms? They all have a number? Like a number that goes in all this? No. So we don't do one big parenthesis. Go right to the 2. All right, let me help you with this one. This one's going to be a little trickier. No moving them around. The order's good, right? W squared, W, no W. It's good order. All right, let's do the front. Front times front, make front. What times what makes 20? 5 times 4, good. Now, what about 2 times 10, though? What about 1 times 20? How do I know what I want to use? You guys track with me? Couldn't I put a 1 and 1W and 20W? Couldn't I put a 2W and a 10W? Could I put a 4W and a 5W? They would all multiply to be 20W squared. It's trial and error. It's guess and check. It really is. Yeah, it does. These are hard. Yeah, now, but having said that, there's a way that works about 95% of the time, maybe even 98% of the time. So yes, it's guessing, but really, I can give you a huge hint. They almost always, 98% of the time, pick the numbers that are closer together. What am I talking about? 1 and 20 is not going to be it 98% of the time. They're 19 apart, right? 2 and 10 are 8 apart. 4 and 5 are closest together. Start with 4 and 5. It is a 95% chance that it's the 4 and the 5. They usually, more than usually, almost always, pick the numbers closer together. So I'm going to go 4W, 5. Could I put the 5 first and then the 4? Yeah, the order on the first two doesn't matter. Whatever you want. But, hear this. This is another new piece of the puzzle. The order on the back two will matter now. Remember how it never mattered at all before? The order on the front two still doesn't matter, but the order on the back two will now matter. Because now somebody's going to be with a 5W and somebody's going to be with a 4W, and that matters. It matters how the OI plays out. So the order on the back two matters, and sometimes we have to swap it to get it just right. This takes a lot of guessing and checking sometimes. So, we good so far? Front times front makes front. And I picked the pair closest together, 4 and 5, rather than 2 and 10 or 1 and 20. All right, here we go. Let's go to the last. Last times last to be 15. What times what's 15? By the way, let me say this. Everything's multiply. Have you noticed everything's multiply until the very last step when you get the O and the I and you're trying to make that middle? That's the only time you think add, subtract. But up to that point, it's all multiply. So anyway, what times what makes 15? 5 and 3. 3 and 5. What else? 15 and 1. Which pair is almost for sure it? 3 and 5. They're closer together, not 1 and 15. I mean, there'll be like maybe 2 questions in the whole section where they pick a weird pair like that. It's almost always close together. 3 and 5. Now,
So always choose the ones that are closest together.
always choose the ones closest together. Try those first. It's almost always those. Exactly. So I'm going to put 3 and 5. Now, it matters whether I put 3 and 5 or 5 and 3. And this order is wrong. Let me get you ready for one more hint. I'm going to give you a few hints that'll speed you through, because there's a lot of reasons you can quickly ignore certain options and go right to the correct option. It's never going to be the case that you have 2 numbers in the same parenthesis that have anything in common, let alone the very same number. Are you tracking with me? No way we're going to have 5 and 5 in the same parenthesis. Let me just write that a little better. No way. I've got to switch, the 5 and the 3 have to switch. Is everybody hearing what I'm saying? You'll never have 2 numbers in the same parenthesis that have anything in common, let alone the very same number. Like, I couldn't have, for example, it'll never be the case, I'll never have 5 and 10 in the same parenthesis. Why? Because they have 5 in common. 5 goes into both of them, right? It'll never be the case that you have a 5 and a 10, a 5 and a 15, a 5 and a 20 in the same parenthesis. And no way a 5 and a 5. It's not going to happen. So what? Well, that means the 3 goes here and the 5 goes there. See, they have not. See, 5 and 3 have nothing in common. 4 and 5 have nothing in common. That's a maybe. I still have to check the oi in the middle, but that's a maybe that'll work. That has a hope, right? That's probably it. So how do I know for sure if that's it? The oi. It's all about the oi. Inner with inner, outer with outer. Right? What's the inner time? It's all multiplied. Still multiply. Everything's multiplied. No adding yet. Not to the end. Inner times inner. Outer times outer. What's inner times inner? 5 and 5? 25. W. And 4W times 3? 12W. Now, can they make the middle, which is plus 13W?
Yeah.
Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Plus 25 minus 12 makes plus 13. Everybody see that? It's working. And now, remember, once you got the signs correct down here in the oi, this one, where does this guy always go? Right there. Every time. Automatic. Just let him bubble right up. Blah, 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 straight up. Every time. Right there. The other one goes to the back. We're done. Everybody see that? If you foiled that whole thing out, it would work. We basically did. We basically foiled without foiling. That's what this whole guessing thing is. The oi, you know, we basically just foiled without really formally foiling. Right? I basically just did front times front, and then front times back, and then, you know, I basically just did that backwards. Is that okay? See how that middle worked? Right? The two inner, which is 25, the two outers, 12, and the sign in the middle is plus. The sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Plus 25 minus 12. You gain $25 and lose 12, you gain 13. That's making the middle. And this side is right there. All right, let's. All right, 6, I'm going to make that an x. X squared plus 11x minus 35. All right, give it a go. Parentheses, front times front, last times last. I wander around. Let me know if I can be of help. The checker goes around you.
It's gonna be all the next steps.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
75, right? No, wait. 75? Wait, we're doing it wrong. We did it different.
You're doing it right.
So whatever.
You got to try.
Write the word
Five
foil.
goes here, or 5 goes here.
I really encourage you, write foil, just that'll get you thinking in the right direction. 2 parentheses. Right? And then you need front times front to make 6x squared. What times what makes 6?
Yeah.
It's all multiply. All you're thinking is times. Multiply. What times what makes 6? Should we do 3 times 2 or should we do 6 times 1? 3 times 2. Almost.
3 or 1 is
Sure.
2
3
plus
times 2. Don't do 6 times 1. Everybody good with there? See how I came up with 3x and 2x?
Yeah, we make 6x squared.
You can switch the order. The order on the first two doesn't matter. Order on the back two does. Right? Everybody good to there? Right? Those multiply to be 6x squared. Don't they? Front times front makes front. Now jump to the last. So we've got the front. We got the front going on. Front times front makes front. Jump to the L. Don't worry about the sign, but just say what times what's 35.
75.
You should calculate if you're rusty on those. 5 times 7. 7 times 5. Yeah. I've got it in the wrong order. How do I know? Well, because the foil will show. When we do the oi will show it's not working. Is everybody good so far? Everybody see what I'm doing? I'm going to need to switch the order, but you wouldn't know that if you hadn't done the oi yet.
The oi.
The oi is crucial. Everybody see that? Everybody see what I'm doing, right? Front times front's making front. Last times last making last. Other than the sign, we'll do the signs later. Good to there so far. Now, how do I know if this is it? How do you know if I've got it? You got to do the oi, right? You got to do the oi, which is what? Inner, inner, outer, outer. What's the inner, inner? 14x. What's the outer, outer? 15x. Can they make the middle plus 11x? No way. They make 29, or if you subtract them, they make 1. They're not going to make plus 11. No way. So switch them. Switch their order.
2x and 7 and 3x and 5.
No, switch the back two. I'm not moving the front two. Just the last two, the 5 and the 7. Just swap the 5 and the 7. Yeah, if it's not working, swap. Because remember, the order on the back two matters. Remember I said the order in the first two doesn't matter. But the order in the back two does matter. Lots to remember to get all this straight. It takes a lot of practice. So the order on the back two matters. So everybody see how this is not working? The Oi's not happy. It's not making the middle term correctly. Right? Everybody see that? So now swap the back two. Put the 5 here and the 7 there. Try again. So now the 2 inner makes 10x. The 2 outer makes 21x. Can they make plus 11x? Yeah, they can do it. Everybody see that? Right? Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. 21. Negative 10 plus 1, right? If you lose $10 and you gain 21, you gained 11. Right, I let the middle tell me the signs, don't I? The sign in the middle goes on the bigger. The big 21 is bigger than 10. And I mean bigger down here now. I don't mean bigger up there, do I? Does everybody see that? I know it's confusing because earlier we didn't have this oi stuff and we just said bigger among these guys. But now that we have this oi stuff, when I say sign in the middle, sign in the bigger, I mean bigger among the oi players, right? They're the ones that determine the middle now, right? So sign in the middle is plus, sign on the bigger, on the 21 is plus. And then this sign always just bubbles up, blah, 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 right there, plus at the back. This sign goes to the back. There it is. Is that good? Question?
So what happens if you do 2R and 3R instead of 3R and 2R?
Yeah, you can get the same answer. It'll all work out. In fact, you can always move the entire parenthesis. Yeah, let me mention that now. If you had this answer, if you had 2x plus 7 coming first and 3x minus 5, that's the same answer. That's okay also. Both those are okay. You can move the entire parenthesis. You just can't move the individual components within them. That'll mess you up. Yeah, both those are fine. That's what you would have got if you did the 2 and the 3 first. Does that make sense? So the entire parenthesis can always be moved. And so know that for your multiple choice test next Wednesday, right? If you have it this way and they have it that way as option C or whatever, grab it. That's the same answer. But not if they're just moving little parts. The whole thing, yeah, that's fine. All right? These are a bit messy. All right, let's try this one. 20x squared plus 31x plus 12. All right. So write the word foil.
She fucking like me scared.
So foil. So front times front to make 20. What times what makes 20?
5 and 4.
5 and 4.
They're closer to each other. It's 14. We're talking about.
I know what the fuck ones.
So 5 and 4, right? Or 4 and 5. The order of the first two doesn't matter. Right? The order of the back
Plus
two
15
does.
in that. 31.
That's what it said.
So, yeah, so you want to write 4x and 5x, or 5x and 4x, it doesn't matter. So you want 4 and 5 in the front.
That's positive. It's easy, but
So the order on the first two doesn't matter.
yeah.
So you can put 4, so I'm saying you can put 4 and 5 or 5 and 4, and it doesn't matter. But then the order of the back two will. So I'm going to go 5x, 4x, but you could do it the other order. It does. I usually just put the bigger ones first, but it doesn't matter. but the order on the back two will matter, right? So we got this. That part's been handled. Let's jump to the 12. Last times last to be 12. 3 and 4. Now, how about 3 and 4 like that? Is that a good idea?
No, 3.
Why not? How do we know that's not right?
So 3 and 4 is 12.
Because they have 2 4s in the same parenthesis. You're never going to have 2 numbers in the same parenthesis that have anything in common, let alone the very same number. So it's not that order. That can't be. So 4 here, 3 there.
Then oi.
Yeah, now we got to check those. Is everybody good to there? Everybody see how I'm coming up with that? That makes front makes the 20. Back makes the 12. And there's nothing in common in the parentheses. So it's a maybe. It's a probably. Just got to check the oi now. See, make sure the mid is right. Right?
You read it completely different to mine, but I still can.
Yeah, because you just swap the whole parentheses. Same thing. Yeah. The 2 inner, the 2 outer. We're ready to check the oi. Inner, outer. 2 inner is 16x. 2 outer is 15x. Can they make the middle, which is plus? I bring in the signs now. Plus 31x. Can 16 and 15 make 31? Both positive. Beautiful. Everybody's positive. There it is. So there's the answer. You could swap the entire parentheses. Remember, you could have the 4x plus 3 coming first, and then the 5x plus 4. That's okay also. That's the same answer. You can always move the entire parentheses. That's the same answer. Both those are okay. Either one of these answers. Is that okay? Does that make sense? Getting the hang of this?
Did you say that the order of the first doesn't matter?
Yeah, the order that the first 2 are in doesn't matter. It's just the back. Really, it's just, I'm trying to say it as simple a way as I can. It's really just who goes with whom that matters. It doesn't really matter where they sit. It matters that the 4x is in a correct somewhere with the 3. Right? It can be here or here. As long as the 4x is 1 and 3. The 5x plus 2 is 4. Wherever it is. That's really what matters. Is who pairs up with who. So how do you want to say that? That's really what matters.
You get the G6.
Yeah, we skipped the back half of that. We skipped it. You don't have to do the back half.
It's leather.
Um,
Real leather.
right before the test, I'll show you one of them. Yeah. There's one on the test. Yeah, really hard one. Yeah, it's one of the hardest things.
And you're
Yeah.
gonna show us one right before the test.
Yeah. I talked about it last time, and I said it's super unimportant. Even though it's hard, it's super unimportant. There's only one on the test, and I give 5 points extra credit anyway, so you can get 100% without knowing it. It is, they're gonna ramp it up a little bit. Are you ready for some little more here? We're gonna have to remember what we're doing in the first hour now, and put it together with the harder stuff we're doing here.
Reorder, right?
Yeah, good job. You're tracking. Exactly. I'm gonna make those X's again. Okay. Yeah. First off, reorder. Very good. Very good.
5.5 earlier?
What's that?
5.3.
5.2 is what we did the first hour. Now we're on 5.3. I flashed over to 5.5 for a second because I got confused.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Because I remember I put 5.5.
Yeah, it was up there for a second. Yeah, and then I went, whoops.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did 5.2 and 5.3 today.
Okay.
All right, so first thing is to reorder, huh? We always want highest power to lowest.
Ooh, I see something else.
So minus 4x squared plus 20x, right? When you reorder, take the signs with them, right? Okay, now what else have we learned you do?
One, or negative
Yeah, negative in the front, but and not only that, there's even more. What goes into all those numbers? Yeah, change the size. And what goes into all those numbers?
4 goes in.
Negative, but 4 goes into all. So make it a negative 4. See the trick? Yes, the negative, and normally we would just do negative 1. So I'm probably confusing you with two kinds. So let me go slow and say it real slow and clearly. Normally, when we have a negative in the front, normally we do like negative 1 in the parentheses and all the signs change, right? But there's not only a negative in the front, there's also a common number. 4 goes into all those. So don't make it negative 1, because you got to take out a 4 also, right? So take out negative 4. Make sense? See the two concepts coming together. When the front is negative, we take out negative. And when there's a number that goes into all of them, we got to take that out. They have it in common. They all divide by 4. They all have a 4 they can divide into. 4 goes into 4, 4 goes into 20, and 4 goes into 144. They don't have an x in common. They don't all have an x, but they all have a 4.
So inside, instead of putting in 4,
It's whatever works. Don't even think hard. Just say minus 4 times what? But you're totally right. You're thinking right, Carl. X squared. And minus 4 times what? We'll go back to plus 20. This making sense? Am I losing you?
so it's gonna be 5x?
You tell me. Negative 4 times what sign will go back to plus? Negative times what is plus? Negative times negative. Remember, it changes all the signs. And then negative times what will go back to positive?
Negative 36.
And then use your calculator. Take 144, divide it by 4, you'll get 36. See how it changed all the signs on the inside?
Yeah.
It always does that, huh? So let me slow down there for a minute. Are you seeing that? Oh, it's off the screen now. Divide by, let me make it more clear. Divide by 4. Yeah, so whenever you put something in the front, whenever you notice that 4 goes into all of them, you've got to put that in the front and do the one big parenthesis, and it's negative in the front, so negative, and then just divide all those by 4. And it changes all the signs as well. Because that would work, wouldn't it? It's just whatever works. That would work. Now, we good to there? We're not done. Although we'd probably like to be done. We have one more step. Is that negative 4 going to go away or be part of the final answer? Part of the final answer. Now we do the 2 parentheses. All that was one big parenthesis work. Now we do the 2. Front times front to make front. Right? F-O-I-L. Last times last to make last. What times what is 36? 6 and 6, but that ain't going to make the middle. 5. Yeah, 9 and 4, huh? 9 and 4 can make the middle 5, huh? So you got to try other combinations on your calculator for 36. 4 and 9, that's going to make the middle, isn't it? I'm kind of out of room for the oi thing. I'll try to squeeze it here and there, so that it's what? It's 9x and 4x. The inner, outer. Right? Am I losing you? Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Yeah. Plus on the smaller, huh? Minus 9 plus 4. That does make minus 5. And we're done. That's the right answer. So are you okay with all that? Let me recap one more time. So we reordered. You want highest power to lowest. X squared, x, no x. X squared, x, no x. Highest power to lowest. And then we saw, oh, there's a negative in the front. And 4 goes into all of them. So we took out a negative 4. And then that means we divided each of them by negative 4 to find out what would go inside. Maybe that's a more helpful thing for me to say. Whenever you put something in the front, you're basically dividing all these by that. So that's really what you're doing, right? So when I wrote this here, I should have written it for all of them. You're dividing by negative 4. You're dividing by negative 4 because you put negative 4 in the front. Right? That's what gives you the negative, because negative 4 times negative 5 will go back to plus 20. Negative 4 times negative 36 will go back to plus 144. So it's right. Is that good? 15 common. Remember, whenever there's something in common, whenever there's a number or a letter,
Why didn't we do that on the last problem?
good question. Let's look back. Look at the last problem. I got it on the screen. Look at 20, 31, and 12. There's the last problem.
31's a prime number.
Right. There's no number that goes into all of those. They don't all divide by 2. 31 doesn't divide by 2. 10 doesn't go into, right? 31, nothing goes into 31. Except for 1. Right, we don't do 1. 1 was there, right? Yeah.
So for example, like for the test, so we only read, like, say we get a question like that. So first of all, just think about what will go into it. If
Yes,
goes into it, just
very
take it
good.
out.
Yeah, that's always first. And I like that you said that first of all. And is everybody catching what she's saying? She's exactly right. First of all, you say what goes into all. And most of the time the answer is nothing. That's why it's easy to forget it, because it almost never happens, But if it does, you got to get, you know what? Let me say this. The next exam is multiple choice. Look down at the options. Totally helpful. Sometimes they can confuse you on some tests. Maybe you shouldn't look at the options. But on this test, look at the options, because you'll see those numbers sitting in the front. You'll go, oh, they took out a 4. I bet 4 goes in. You'll see it on the multiple choice option. Take a look at the practice exam. So you'll see what I mean. Right? So the best thing to do when you get these on the test next Wednesday is look at the options. You'll see if they're putting numbers in the front. And that'll clue you in. Oh, yeah, they're taking a 4 out. I bet I can take a 4 out. You look like, oh, yeah, 4 goes in all those.
Okay.
Use that to remind you.
That makes more sense why you took the negative 4.
Yeah, it's what goes in.
Is this the exam where if you do the multiplication, you come up with the right answer?
You can do that. You can but the trick is you can multiply. Yeah, I don't want to confuse you too much, but that's not the whole story. So you can't rely on that. You can multiply things and be right, but it's not completely factored, so it's still the wrong answer.
I got 2 grades better than I should have last semester by doing that.
Well, yeah, sometimes that can help, but you can't fully rely on it. All right, so let's try this one. 80. I'm going to do x again. X squared plus 44x minus 12. All right, so this is going to be another challenging one, kind of like that last one. So, like we were talking about, what's the first thing? What's the first thing you're supposed to look for? This is, by the way, for every factor chart. What's the first thing you're supposed to look for? Yeah, what's it called? Now, do they all have a letter? Do they all have an X? Not 12. So there's no letter in common, but there is a number. What number goes into 80? 44. If you're not sure, use your calculator. What number is 4, isn't it? 4 goes into all those. So what does that mean when you find in common? 4 in common. So do one big parenthesis, right? Put a 4 with the one big parenthesis, right? And then on the next step, we'll do the 2 parentheses after that, right? But you first do the one big parenthesis, divide all those by 4 to get your new numbers, right? Whenever you put something in the front. Hey, why didn't I do negative 4 this time?
Because it's not in front.
Yeah, the negative's not in front. So there's just negative in front. Good. All right, so this will be what? 20x squared plus 11x minus 3? We good? Because that would multiply and go back, wouldn't it? That's the check, huh? If I was to times those out, would it return? Yes. So it's right so far. Now you got to do the FOIL and the 2 parentheses, huh? So keep going. That 4 is going to still be in the front, but now you got to do the 2 parentheses. Right?
Did you take out the 4? 4 goes in 20 times, 11 times.
So we have 4 in the front.
4 in the front. Keep the 4 on the outside.
And then we're going to do the FOIL. 4's in the front. Good so far. So front times front to make front. What times what makes 20? 5 and 4. 5x and 4x. Good. And then last times last to make last. What times what makes 3? 1 and 3, but the order matters, huh? Is it 1 times 3 or 3 times 1? We got to try both orders and check the oi in the middle. Does that make sense how I'm thinking, right? Front times front makes front. Good. Last times last to make last. 3. What times what is 3? 1 times 3. But what order? Let's do 3, 1. That's not, I'm purposely doing it wrong, so I can show you how you would know it's wrong. It's going to be the other order, actually. How do we know? Well, we check the oi now, and it just won't work. The 2 inner, the 2 outer, 2 inner makes 12x, the 2 outer makes 5x, right? 5x times 1. Can 5 and 12 make the middle plus 11? No, 5 and 12 makes 17. It doesn't make 11. So that's wrong. Switch the order, right? You guys with me? See how that's wrong? And I need to switch the order. So put the 1 here and the 3 there, and try it again. The 2 inner makes 4x. The 2 outer makes 15x. Now, can they make plus 11x? Yeah, they can do it, can't they? Sign in the middle, plus in the middle, goes on the big guy, right? Minus on the 4. Sign in the middle always goes on the bigger, huh? Plus 15 minus 4 is plus 11, yeah. And where do the signs go? This guy goes straight up, huh? Just bubbles up. Blah, 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 right there, minus. And the bottom goes to the back, always. BB, bottom back. There it is. And of course, you could switch the order. You could put the 4x plus 3 first, and then the 5x minus 1. Same answer. You can always swap the entire parentheses. Either one of those is okay. You can always move the entire parenthesis. You getting the hang of this? Is this getting less painful? Think you can do? Yes. Well, I chose that. I chose 31. So I guess I thought you needed that much practice. All right. Let's try that one. You got to use your calculator. I don't even know off the top of my head what goes into those 3. I'm thinking maybe, is it 6? Try dividing them all by 6, 2, 4, 8, I don't know. Just try dividing all those numbers by stuff.
6.
Are both numbers 6 also multiples of 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so if the factor, if the individual numbers add up to a multiple of 3, that means that.
Yeah.
6 is equal to
Yeah,
that's the way. Yeah, you're right.
8.
Good observation. I think it's just 2. That's what I think. I don't think 4. 4 doesn't go into the middle one, I don't think. So I think it's just 2. Is that right? Is that what you guys are finding? 6 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work. It's just 2, huh? So just take out a 2, and then that'll be, what's that? 56, 23, and 63. Yeah, I just always change to X, just because my R's look sloppy. It will. You can't do that. I mean, you can get your answer next, but when you type it in, use their letter.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever letter they have.
It's just, if it's easier for you to remember.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now do the FOIL thing. And then what are you going to put in the front there? Front times front to make 56? Got to be 7 and 8, huh? got to be 7 and 8. Or 8 and 7, whatever. The order in the first two doesn't matter. 7x, 8x, or 8x, 7x, whatever. Good so far for the front two. And then the last two, 63. It's got to be 7 and 9, huh? And could I go like 7, 9 like that? Look at these two. Can you have two 7s in the same parenthesis? No. So if it is 7 and 9, which it probably is, it's got to be the other order, huh? So it's got to be 9 here, 7 there. Like that? That good? That's probably it right there. We got to check the OI. The 2 inner makes 72x. The 2 outer makes 49. If you can read my writing there. Subtract those. I'm hoping that's 23. Yeah, it is. It's 23. Sign in the middle is negative. Sign in the bigger is negative. Negative 72. So negative there, positive there. We got it. So it turns out it's not that bad. It's big numbers, but you got a calculator.
It's not hard, it's just long.
It is long. It's very long and tedious. Yeah. It is. It's long and it's tedious.
That's why you gave us like 31 of them, huh?
Yeah, I know. So you can make it through. All right, so 42 plus 51x minus 18x squared. Yeah, this is a lot of homework. Don't be overly stressed out by homework. Remember the purpose of, what I mean is, I'm not sure I would do it all. You're the math teacher, say don't draw homework. But do enough to where you can do it on the exam. Because remember, homework points don't count a lot. Have you noticed when I set the syllabus? There are only 50 points for the whole semester. So they don't, leaving half of one part undone, it's not going to have a big effect on your grade. If you only do half of all the homework all semester, yeah, that'll start to hurt you. But there's a lot on this. You don't have time to do them all. Do it until you can do it on the exam, right? That's where it really counts, is on the exam. You might want to start looking at that practice exam even this weekend, because that counts. Anyway, what's first step on this one? Rearrange it, right? Reorder, rearrange. So do that. But you're on the right track. There's something else. So reorder. So put the minus 18x squared in the front, right? You're good to there. Right? Because you take the sign with it, right? Whenever you reorder things, you move them, you keep the sign in the front with them wherever they go. Everybody good with that so far? Good to there. Now, you got to look at that 18, 51, and 42 and ask yourself, does something go into those? Use your calculator. 3. Good job. It's 3. And the front is negative. So negative in the front, and they're all divisible by 3. So what does that mean I'm going to put in the front? Negative 3. With the one big parenthesis. All the signs are going to change. Remember when you put a minus out here? All the signs change. And just divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. To find the new numbers. That makes sense how you do that? Whenever you put something common in the front, just divide through by those. Divide by 3. And really it's negative 3 that we're dividing through by. Divide through by negative 3. You'll get 6x squared minus 17x minus, what is that, 14? 14. Okay, thank you. 14. Everybody good to there? All the signs changed. Notice. Now do FOIL on what's left. So the minus 3 sits in the front. 2 parentheses. We're thinking FOIL. Front times front. So 3x 2x. Last times last to be 14. Now what multiplies to be 14? 7 and 2. But do I want to go 7, 2 like that? No, I don't want those two 2's together, huh? So it's got to be 2, 7 like that. So the 2 inner makes 4x. The 2 outer makes 21x. Can they make 17? Yeah. Sign in the middle, sign in the bigger. So minus in 7, plus in the 2. There it is. Is that good? Is that making sense?
Yep.
It's a lot of work, huh? All right. So those are the two sections. I'm due on Wednesday, but we have no class on Wednesday. I won't see you for a week. So next Monday, get ready and have our exam the following Wednesday. All right, click A for Apple. A, and you got free clicker points.
So we have to have the homework done by Wednesday still?
Yeah, I still don't want you to wait because it's fresh in your mind. It'll be best to do it right away. Yeah, A for Apple. So we do it class time on Wednesday. Have a good week, guys. I will see you in a week. Click A for Apple.